Hi guys, and welcome to K9TV. Coming from you, we're in New Zealand at the moment, in Christchurch. We've had an awesome couple of days here, running some seminars, doing some one-on-ones, and doing some consulting for some dog training clubs over here, and it's been really, really cool. So our apologies for not necessarily being bang on a regular time for K9TV. It's a little bit tricky when you're on the road. But tonight I really wanted to talk about what we call a GPS in training. So, when we start training our dogs, it's all about, potentially setting a goal and having a clear idea what it is. Now, we had a really cool comment on our Facebook page, just saying, hey, when it comes to setting a GPS, what is it if you don't know where it is that you're heading or your destination with your training? So I just wanted to break it down a little bit. When we talk about, setting our GPS in dog training, it's very similar to, when you jump into your car. So if you're jumping into your car and you're not too sure of where it is that you want to go, you're just going to potentially drive around and around the block. If you set the GPS to the destination that it is that you're wanting to go, you're going to find the most direct route to get there and hopefully, minimize the amount of hiccups or, dare you say, traffic jams or obstacles along the way. So when it comes to training, break down your criteria, especially when it comes to your different obedience commands, all of that type of thing. So even if you're just hoping to have, an awesome pet dog, some of your criteria may just be, having a dog that doesn't jump, knows how to sit, will always recall. Well, that's pretty good and that's fairly clear. So you just want to make sure that your GPS is set on that, so you understand that you're always training for that, and that's always what you're after. I can see some guys logging in here. Hey Rodney, hey Jara, nice to see you guys. Thanks for logging in. My apologies for my very husky voice. I've been talking pretty much non-stop for a week. As many of you will know, that's somewhat fairly easy for myself to do, but when you're projecting your voice to a massive room and whatnot, it does take a little bit of a toll. Hey Alicia, how you doing, Dale? Thank you for joining in. Guys, please remember to give me a thumbs up, say hi, let me know that you're tuning in. If you have any questions, please pop them down below. Hopefully the Wi-Fi between the majority of you that are in Australia would be really cool. If you're in New Zealand, give us a shout out. If you've attended our seminar, make sure you say hello and let us know that you're joining in. And from wherever you are in the world, just let us know. It's always nice to have you tuning in. So, and here we go. People are starting to send in love hearts and thumbs up. Thank you very much. So when it comes to training, the best way to start is with the end goal in mind. One of the mistakes that, we as people quite often make is we go, okay, I'm going to teach the heel position. We'll use that as an example. And you sit there, and I know many a times for those of you that have trained with me or done one of my workshops, I'll sit there and say, what does heel mean to you? And a lot of the times the definition that we get can be quite different and quite broad. It's like, oh, I just want my dog to hang out on the left-hand side. Oh, no, I want my dog's shoulder, to be, even with my leg. Or, my dog's nose isn't allowed to get past my leg. If we can get really, really clear with our dogs, it's much, much easier. So we've noticed with some of the people that we've been working with in New Zealand, they've been absolutely freaking awesome. It's so nice to see so many empowered people training with their dogs. But some of the things that we've been hearing is, we don't need to get to that standard until we get to a more advanced level. Think about it like this. If we can teach our dog the more advanced level at an earlier phase in their training, how much easier is that for their dog? And they're the types of things that we want to be focusing on very early on when it comes to our dog training. So if we can teach our dogs the more advanced position and the criteria that it is that we're after, then that's certainly going to help out and make our dogs feel more confident. And it's going to make our training a lot more clearer also. So again, as I said, if you're focusing on the heel, what is your exact criteria? Is it that you want your dog, vertical nose to toe, so their head's popping up beautifully? It really does depend on what your criteria is, and by no means are we going to force our criteria onto you, nor should any trainer. But be open to suggestions and certainly sit there and work through these kind of things. So set your criteria. Another example is when you give the recall command. So you might say come. What is it exactly that you're expecting your dog to do? I know myself personally, if I say the word come, I expect my dog to come directly in front of me, as close to me as physically possible. And if that's the result of that, if I'm walking along, I can't just say, for example, Zuka, come, because if I'm walking, I'll end up accidentally, kicking my dog in the head, if you would. And, or kneeing or nudging or that type of thing. So, I know if I give the command come, that I must be standing still in order for my dog to come directly in front. Whereas I have a more relaxed kind of, if you dare say the word recall, if I just want my dog to hang out with me and get a little bit closer, I say the word here. Guys, it's not about the word that you use, it's about having that clarity with your dog. So definitely setting that GPS, understanding what it is as soon as you can. Excuse me. So even if you're not sure what it is that you want to do with your dog, whether you want to do competition or you've just got a pet dog or, who knows, the better your socialization is, your habituation is early on, the better. So this is what we kind of sit there and refer to as your dog's map. If you are sitting there and let's say you always do the majority of your training in and around your house, then your dog understands your house block, and that's their map. What we want to start to do is if you would, download more maps for your dog to understand. So they need to understand that it's not just your property, but that also consists of your front yard, the footpath, the houses that are next door to you, the local corner, the local street, the local cafe. And the more areas that you can train your dog and socialize your dog and have them feel comfortable in, then the more maps, if you would, your dog can download. And this is what we call generalization when it comes to our dog training. If your dog can generalize and understand, hey, if you sit there and you say the down or the drop command, so getting your dog to lay down, if you sit there and you give that command, it doesn't matter what the environment, it doesn't matter what the distraction, it doesn't matter the distance that you're at with that dog, with your dog. If you sit there and you say down, drop, Platz, whatever your command is, that means, hey, you need to put your belly on the ground. You do not move from position until we either give you a release word or we give you a secondary command. So we are very much supporters of using a release word with our dogs. Thanks, guys. Appreciating the love and nice to have the feedback and understanding that and knowing that you're here with me. We are very much strong supporters of having release words for your dogs. So when your dog has finished an exercise, for example, if we tell our dogs to down, drop, Platz, mat, regardless of what word you use, your dog needs to know when that exercise is terminated, when they've finished. So basically it's like a tick, you finish the box, or you can tick the box. Excuse me. So we most commonly use the word free. We call that a neutral release. So when we give the neutral release, quite often a nice example that we give is if our dogs are in the back of the car, in order to get them out of the car, we sit there and say free. So visualize a ute/4-wheel drive or station wagon. They're in the boot, so not the old school trunk. Let's be nice and clear on that. They're in the back of the 4-wheel drive ute/station wagon. We pop them in the back of the car. The only time they're allowed to get out is when we use a termination cue or an exit cue, if you would. So we might say the word free, which means they're allowed to get out. We don't need to reward with that. We don't need to use food or anything along those lines. That is just sitting there and saying to our dogs, hey, you're now allowed to get out of the car. And now if you like, you can go run around, or you might have an opportunity to go to the toilet or whatever it might be, depending on the situation. We also have what we call, the termination cue or your marker word. Some people use a click. It doesn't matter which one you use, guys. The main thing that matters is that your dog understands it nice and clearly. So I know personally I use the word yes. If I say the word yes to my dog, then he expects to receive something from me. So free is the neutral. So if I'm hypothetically just walking down the street and I start to have a chat to a friend, I might tell him to sit or, to lay down. And then we finish our conversation, I'll just go free, because there's nothing in it for it. He didn't do anything spectacular. He didn't, reach any milestones. It's just standard polite manners, if you would. But if we're in a training situation and he exceeds my expectation and he does something that I'm really, really happy with, then I use the marker yes. Other people might use the click, as I said before, and that is where he can expect to get something from me. So he might get food reward, a ball, a game of tug, something along those lines. So there's an extra bonus there for him. All of these things is having the clarity. And once you've got the clarity, then your dog understands what to expect. So that is your GPS. If you set your GPS, then your dog has an expectation and you're going to get to your destination. We also, as I was saying, we want to start to increase our dogs' their internal map. So it doesn't just happen within the home, it happens out the front, it happens down the street, it happens in, local car parks. It doesn't matter where you are. When you give, a certain command, making sure that you always set your dog up for success. But when you set that GPS, you know what it is that you're working for. You want to make sure that you're nice and clear with your commands. So if, for example, I know, for example, with the heel position, I personally, with Zuko, I say fuss. I know people say heel, other people say close. Here in New Zealand, we've come across a lovely lady with her golden Marilyn. She's used the word watch. All of these things, again, it's all just trivial, but you need to make sure that you're always consistent. Particularly with your recalls, sometimes we can see some inconsistencies with recalls. We want to make sure that every single time that you give that recall, so if your command has come, that you are consistent every single time. So guys, we do recommend, write down your commands, make sure you're clear. The clearer that you're going to be, the easier it is with your dog. I know the awesome people that we've been hanging out here with in the South Island of New Zealand. We've had great fun, lots of laughs, lots of growth, lots of learning has been happening. Been running the seminar over here with Mr. Brentos, and Brent's an awesome dog trainer. Let's see some love hearts for Mr. Brent. Here's your shout out, baby, because you're just a rock star. But yeah, absolutely set your GPS. Brent's been really clear with what he wants to do with little Zia, or Puppy as her nickname is. I'm really clear with what I want with Zuka. Guys, set your GPS, be clear with what it is. And even if your destination may change, I know, Brooke, you commented on our post before and you said, you know what, your final destination actually changed, but it doesn't matter in the sense that you did all the socialization, you did all the habituation, you put in all the hard yards. If you put in the hard yards, guys, your dog is only going to reap the benefits as yourself, as their trainer and their owner, and you're going to have that flexibility of being able to take them everywhere. So, hi Charles, I can see that you've just joined in. I'm just going to scroll through, make sure that I haven't missed any questions. Hopefully our stream here is up to date. Guys, thanks again for joining in. Christchurch, we have absolutely loved having you host us. We've really enjoyed being here. Brent and I have spent 2 days walking your city and seeing your beautiful sights, and absolutely paying tribute to some of the things that you guys have experienced. You guys are freaking awesome. And again, thank you so much. We're here for a couple of more days. We've got more private consults to run tomorrow, and we very much look forward to coming back. So New Zealand, kia ora. Thank you so much for having us. We love you very much. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.